Shehzori is actually a novel that my grandfather, Azim Bek Tughtai, wrote. Initiated this concept that women can be empowered. And imagine in pre-partitioned India, an empowered woman's concept was very progressive. We started a women's shelter. We call it a transitional home and empowerment home, where we are working with the women who are displaced, and they are mainly from South Asian Muslim background. And believe it or not, Amna, there are many. No week passes by when we receive a query about it. So there are many such women which are hidden from the eyes of common people.
In any society, educators are probably the most important and influential people because they are the ones who are raising our youth, who are forming the mindsets of our children. And the fact that you have focused on Urdu education is actually very interesting and also very commendable.
A number of people call me, oh, she's an Urdu teacher, not in a very positive way.
I know.
And I take that. I am perfectly fine being an Urdu teacher.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Amina again from New Wave Global. And as we continue our journey through Women's History Month, and which is an annual observance of recognizing women who have done some awe-inspiring work in history as well as in contemporary era. I have with me Nusrat Sohail here, who wears a lot of hats. She is an inspiration in herself, and she's also a big champion of women. So Nusrat is an educator and a social worker, and she has worked in the community for over 25 years. So she has a wealth of experience in community work. She has served as an educator both in New Jersey and New York, and also back home in Pakistan. She was actually serving as a principal for a local Islamic school last year in New Jersey. She has done different graduate programs in education and history. She was also working on her PhD, and she has worked in the federal government grant program, which is called Star Talk, for 12 years. And has been instrumental in creating Urdu Hindi programs for students in America from K to early college years at public school and Keene University. And her list of achievement goes on and on and on. Recently, she has actually started a house for South Asian women to empower them, women who are underprivileged, women who have no voice, but she has been the voice for them. And her program is called Shehzore House. And it is under the auspices of her non-governmental organizations, which is called Women to Women Forum. Welcome, Nusrat. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Amna. You have very elaborately explained my journey.
It's a commendable journey. I'm sure haven't done justice to it, but I'd let you talk about a little about your background, where you're from, how this started, what was the motivation behind all this.
I honestly think that I'm just placed in situations where I did what I did. So I went
Very
with the
humble
flow.
of you.
I went with the flow, and whatever was there, we just, delved into it. So one thing is for sure that I did not lose the opportunities that came my way. I
Right.
availed them. And these are the opportunities that sort of created a flow. One built another, and then I went on to the second level and then the third level. That's how it went on. I actually grew up in Karachi, Pakistan. I got married there, had two children, two daughters. So I'm a mother of two girls, raised by a single mother. And so this uh, feministic ideals were there through what I have. I'm also raised in a family where feminism was a norm. We were all called Shehzoris while growing up, meaning empowered women, in a very small way that we can explain that term. Shehzori is actually a novel that my grandfather, Azim Bek Tughtai, wrote,
Wow.
which initiated this concept that women can be empowered. And imagine in pre-partitioned India, an empowered woman's concept was very progressive, and that lingered on in the family. So I believe that had inspired me and made me what I became today. And so now, just recently, a year ago, we started a women's shelter. We call it a transitional home and empowerment home, where we are working with the women who are displaced, and they are mainly from South Asian Muslim background. And believe it or not, Amna, there are many. No week passes by when we receive a query about it. So there are many such women which are hidden from the eyes of common people.
So you're basically carrying on that family tradition of women empowerment, and you're passing it on, spreading it around.
Right.
Your role as an educator is also a very important one, because I believe that, in any society, educators are probably the most important and influential people, because they are the ones who are raising our youth, who are forming the mindsets of our children. And the fact that you have focused on Urdu education is actually very interesting and also very commendable, because you are connecting our kids, our children, our youth to their roots, to their country. Because I know for my kids, and I know a lot of people can relate to this, that language is their biggest barrier.
Mhm.
They cannot even communicate with their family back home. There is absolutely no understanding of culture, of society, because they do not speak the language. So just talk to me about a little bit of how you've been doing that and what motivated you to do that, because I'm sure Urdu is not something that a lot of people are interested in teaching or even, learning more about it.
Right. So a number of people call me, oh, she's an Urdu teacher, not in a very positive way.
I
And
know.
I take that. I am
Really
perfectly fine
good.
being an Urdu teacher. But prior to being Urdu teacher, when I came here, I loved my uh, educational experiences in Pakistan. So I wanted to continue the same here. I went to graduate school right away to as soon as I came here to get back into teaching field. And within 3 years, I was in public school. So um, initial years were the foundation years about learning what exactly is a need in teaching here. And I fortunately went into social sciences. I was a social studies teacher. And with that in mind, in this country, social studies teacher is the teacher that makes student think. We don't teach just facts and figures. We don't teach heroes. We teach uh, if with events, we teach why an event happened or incident happened, and
Mhm.
if you take out certain aspects out of it, will that event be the same?
Yeah.
And as we say, history repeats itself. So we just see how history can be repeated today if the similar circumstances are there. So, with that in mind, while we were teaching students to think, we were thinking too. And then, in within my own household, I realized that my own children, who were being raised just by us as a nuclear family, were losing their connection with the mother tongue. And I felt that maybe they will learn Spanish. And that's where this country is, Spanish and English.
Yeah.
But over the period of time, I felt they were losing their connection with their dada dadi, nani, and basically culture. And we are so rich within that culture. Nani, uh, uh, or dadi, raise their grandchildren with stories at night, and this communication that happened, this love that happened within that context. That is all,
Awesome. Yeah.
it's they our children miss out on that. And when I started seeing that, I was a high school teacher at that time. I said, I need to start this Urdu program within my own high school. Started looking at the criteria for teaching it. So, criteria was difficult. At first, you need to be certified, and certification is very complex in any subject matter. So,
Oh,
then I looked toward the universities and started sending emails to all universities that if there's any opportunity for Urdu teaching or building up an Urdu program. So, I sent to Columbia, NYU, and UPenn, and you name it, all universities. So, of course, no response came from anywhere, but I got from NYU. And that was the year they were developing a new government based program to train teachers of Urdu and Hindi as second language teachers.
Oh, wow.
So they took me in. It was starting in few days. They took me in, and there's more story behind it too. But I went in, and when I went there, honestly, it was an eye-opening coursework, which was for 2 weeks. So teaching Urdu as literature is completely different than Urdu as a second language. And I will say it is like a rocket science. We need to know a lot of standards and linguistic markers that leads to the language development. And so I attended that program for 2 years, and then started and with the similar grant, I started one in West Windsor School District in New Jersey. And
Mhm.
then that went on for 12 years. And when the funding ended, then the program ended. But we did so much fun with that program. We did melas and the lunch with Grandparents' Day and Basant celebration, kite flying, you name it, theater. So we did so much with that holistic way of teaching Urdu and creating this atmosphere
I
where
was going to
children,
ask you because you're not teaching it just as a language, you're teaching it as a culture, right?
right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, I mean, I miss those days, although they were very difficult.
I'm sure.
And creating such programs which considered to be, as competitive as any other language
Mhm.
was daunting, but somehow we did it. We always used to receive admirations from the grant givers. We were considered as a role model program. So it was a lot of fun. But when that funding ended, we have continued that program as a Zoom-based program. So a few of us still teach it because we believe that that work needs to continue as children are still there. And
Yeah.
now we know what it is. We need to continue this work.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what happened, if the legacy of that program or that grant is still continuing. So my question is that when you did start that program, what kind of a response did you get from the parents, from the kids themselves? Were they interested or were they poo-pooing it or did it like as they joined the program, did they, did it grow on them? How was it received?
So initial years were very tough. We had to go in public gatherings to
Mhm.
talk about it. So I used to call my friends and say, if you have any high tea coming up, if you have anything coming up, please call me. Or if there's a Dars program somewhere, please give me 5 minutes to talk. We went to masjids, and a lot of people, religious people initially, were
Mhm.
very upset with us that we are not doing Arabic program to send children to Jannah as
Oh,
compared to doing an Urdu program. And I told them that, if heritage learners learn Urdu faster than Arabic, and then that second step can come as Arabic program. But if our children lose their background, such rich, you know, uh, culture, books, uh, literature, all will go to waste after our
huge
generation.
loss. Yes.
Yeah, it will be all gone.
Mhm.
So, such beautiful gatherings. You are from New Jersey, and you know that how beautiful Urdu gatherings are organized here. And only you and me are sitting there, not our children. So, if we want our culture to prosper here, and we want it to pass it on to other generations, we should be mindful of what we should do to pass it on to our future generation.
So is your program, I know you said a few of you are continuing it through Zoom. Is it branching out or it's just the few torchbearers who really are very, very persistent continuing with the idea?
So every program that has some financial incentives attached prosper. So this is not financially viable, due to which only few teachers are remaining who are cause driven,
Yeah.
and we do take a little token um, amount, so which we donate to different organizations. I donate it to my woman to woman forum and to the Shehzori House. So I'm just doing my services, and then it's a natural psychological phenomena. If you pay for something, then you take it for
Yeah.
a little bit seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way this world works.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a veer off this strand of thought a little bit and talk to you about your Women to Women forum. What's that, and what was the motivation, or what was the idea behind its inception?
Honestly, telling you, it just came. Like the way Urdu program came out of nowhere, that, idea popped into my head and sending emails, and then things happened. And then, such a huge part of my life was committed to it. So the same way this happened. And it happened through Urdu program when I saw, as we were developing Hindi and Urdu, two
Hmm.
classes separately and multiple levels, we saw that whenever we do a combined program, Hindi Wali girls,
Hmm.
even if they also lack language, they had that confidence. They will pick up mic and talk, whatever talk they can give, or they do dances and the music. So this leadership
Outgoing.
confidence
Mhm.
was, very obvious
Mhm.
as compared to Urdu speaking girls. And I'm not saying Urdu speaking, not Pakistani only. So the
Oh.
culture of Urdu speakers
Mm.
is such that the girls do not want to be visible. They don't want to hold the mic. If they would hold it, they would be scared, and there's a fear. I believe, only a few girls every year we could identify were um, fearless, our Shehzoris,
Yeah.
to be at the center stage and not be scared.
Huh.
So I started wondering, like, what are we lacking?
Yeah.
And the main thing we are lacking is a platform where our children can come together. So interestingly, this fear was not there among boys.
Huh.
This fear was more among girls.
So interesting. You would
Yeah.
think in this society that would not be the case.
Hmm. So, and I was in public schools too, and then I traced back the history, and I felt that this is how it is in all classes. Even the teachers who used to work with me used to say that, when we see Pakistanis and Indians, we see them all to be same. But
Mm.
when we work with them, we knew which ones are Pakistanis and which ones are
Wow.
Indians, because the
Stark
behavior.
distinction. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, the behavior reflects. So I felt it is our responsibility to empower our, first of all, our generation,
Mm.
then our youth,
Yes.
especially girls. So we work with women and youth both. Actually, we
Mhm.
have a program, we call it Elevate Youth Voices, where we engage youth as well to give a platform to them where they can build up themselves.
Wow, that's amazing. I don't even know that people realize that that's the case, and our generation and then even our future generations are lacking that social development where they're not even confident enough to go out and present their point or have their voices heard. So
Right.
I'm sure your platform is doing a great job in providing them that place where they can go out and learn that skill.
Right.
So, and then what led from that to Shehzori? What I was it another epiphany one day?
Yes. It was. And actually, I have always wanted to build up a place like that. And I got engaged a little while ago with another group where we had built up a place, but we lacked funding and it fizzled out.
Hmm.
And we also held an event for that other program. And we invited a few politicians to do the inaugural of that program. But as I said, it fizzled out. And then I started this nonprofit of my own because I felt that I can better handle things when they are with like minded women. Because
Mm.
women, I honestly feel when they get engaged, they become the real reformers of the society. I have a very strong belief in that. So we started working uh, uh, again as a nonprofit, and then over the period of time, we realized that okay, that work of starting a shelter is still in the picture. So why don't we, look into it? And in one of our yearly gala, we do our yearly gala where we invite or identify our community heroes. We call them community heroes. We award them. We create them as role model for other women who we consider, are Pakistani American. So adopting this identity that we have taken up in this country and allowing our youth to also consider themselves as Pakistani Americans. So we do this celebratory, gala every year. And in that gala, the similar politicians came and they asked about that shelter program, which we started before,
Mm.
and we said that it fizzled out. It was post-COVID time when homelessness was,
Rampant. Yeah.
yes, was rampant, is the right word. So that politician, his name is Assemblyman Sturley Stanley.
Mm.
He gave us some seed funding to initiate the program, and boom, within a year, we were functioning.
So, what exactly does this program do, and how do you empower women in this shelter?
Okay, so this is really for displaced women, meaning who are homeless and their children. So we can reside about 8 people, but just not that long ago we had 11. So the
Mm.
need is that, but it dwindles. Right now we have about 7 people living there, and um, and so we adjust accordingly. Then maybe we would move a family within one room and then give it to others, or when we have more room then the family takes more rooms. That's how it works. And even we did not know that there are issues of homelessness even in our community, which are to looked upon. Like we thought that we may get some families, and but it's a lot. It's huge. um, so women who come to us, there is one major problem that we see, or a commonality we see,
Mhm.
is language barrier
Yeah.
and immigration issues,
Mm.
and uh, not educated enough in the country. So these three things are common, and so we work with.
I mean, mostly who have been abandoned by their families. Is that who usually who they are?
Okay, so sometimes abandoned, sometimes single mothers by choice, in the sense that they moved to Pakistan and they came back, but the spouses opted not to come.
Oh.
Um, and uh, a family who was already, who had immigration, wanted to come back and settle down, but had no means. So a number of times we get a notification that this girl is coming, from Pakistan, need emergency, initial place to live to build themselves up. So we accommodate all types of needs, but yes, domestic violence victims are the biggest out of all. So
So what kind of, I mean, like you said, we didn't even know that, there's a population amongst our community that is homeless or is displaced and requires such kind of support. So just give us, to put things in perspective, what is the magnitude of the need of harboring such women or helping out such women in this society? Because it's kind of a very, very unheard of concept.
mhm. So actually, we move within the people who are like us. So
Okay, yeah,
that's the reason why, because that's how Pakistani community is. We find somebody relatable and we hang out with them, and then that becomes our group.
right,
So people who are in need can never be in those circles.
correct.
They are busy doing, finding ways to work
Just
for them, and then, minimum wage. And so their hours are committed to resolving issues, going to courts, and understanding the system, and not, while not understanding in their grief, they are very sad souls. So they don't have capacity also to go out and socialize, and so that's why we're not able to see them. But when we started this time, we had different media groups that are with us. So they interviewed us, and our interview went everywhere. Then we also have women groups. We have created our own multiple programs. So we spread it out within our group. So now all these cases that come to us, they come to us through references,
Yeah.
either our program that we have conducted. So what we have started doing now, we do the way we are, talking right now, we do our own panels also on our social media. And
Okay.
then that goes to places and people reach out to us in that regard.
So it's basically the outreach that is very important because, people are not even aware of a program, and then people like us are not aware that there is a need. So
Right,
there's a huge disconnect, which I think is filled up, that gap is being filled up by outreach programs that you're doing.
right. And somehow, unfortunately, our families who come here from Pakistan and from certain socio-economic background, they still bring the baggage that they have had in Pakistan. And when they behave that way, there are law enforcement, agencies who are supporting women. And whenever a woman calls them, you know, uh,
Yeah.
definitely temporary safety, they will get it. But on the long term basis, there's no system
Yes.
for them. So system has to be created by the communities. Arabs are doing it. Indians are doing it. Indians actually accommodate us too. They are very open-hearted. And
Accommodating.
Arabs are very accommodating too. But why aren't we doing it ourselves? Although there apparently within even those communities who are helping out different minority women, Pakistanis are the biggest in number.
Wow.
That's what we, hear from all. So why aren't we doing it?
That's so sad. I mean, and that reflects so poorly on us as a society.
Right. So we need to educate our sons. We need to educate our women how to, raise their not only sons but behave when they become mother-in-laws
Yes.
to make it better for the future younger women.
So what's I know it's almost the program, your program is in its infancy, but what's the kind of impact has it made so far over the last year or so that it's been?
Okay, so far, we have helped almost a woman and her children uh, every month. So frequency is such.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say that some women get empowered,
Yeah.
and we have some cases where maybe their husbands wanted to reunite with them, so they went away and are, I won't say happily ever after happened even after that. So we continue to resolve their marital issues because we continue to hold hand.
You stayed as their resource or their, backup even
Right.
after they left the place.
Right. And to, share that now we are a woman who are sort of a pressure group
Yeah.
where in community we will say that, if this woman has come to us, so we will provide all kind of support, maybe through masjid, by going to their house, by giving, recommending counseling sessions. So things of that nature is what we have done for sure.
Mhm.
And other times, we do have cases where women came on temporarily basis
Mhm.
for some, home divide happened due to whatever reasons.
Right.
So they finally felt that they're ready to have their own place, own residence, and then they went away. So although this is rare within a year's time, it's rare
Yeah.
because a woman cannot be within a year get literate and start becoming functional a citizen of the society. Right now we have a case where we are working from last 1 year. They have 3 children, so the mother has her limitations, and it's a work in progress.
Yeah. It's great work, and Nusrat, not only being an inspiration yourself, you're actually empowering women to do the same. You're creating a trend. You're making a wave where you obviously did a great job, but then you're making sure that it just passes on. So whoever you're helping, I'm sure at some point in their life they'll be around to help someone else. So it's actually multiplying logarithmically everything that you're doing.
This is what I say to all, to our team members who are very much committed towards this cause, because it touches your own soul. You know what you have done. You don't have to have any recognition from anyone. So my team is very committed. That's my strength. I say things and they run and they make things happen. I want to give shout out to Sidra Jamil from here, to my really right hand Ghazal Rahman from this platform, and then Beanish, Ambreen, Bushra Salman, um, Farhana Omarzai. We are nine of all actually.
Oh, okay.
And so I want to give, recognition to all of them.
Thank you to.
Amara Mushtaq,
Mhm.
Sabina Mahmood. And then we have our male allies, Danish Ahmed, Fahim Mia, and Nabil. So, I mean, I'm just counting them on my fingertips, and there are many, many.
Yes, there are a lot of behind the scenes people who are actually making this happen.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so thank you to all of them too. And I know that none of these projects or anything that you want to do as a social endeavor is possible without funding. And I know that unfortunately this year you're on your own. So I
Yeah.
would use this as also to serve as a plug or an appeal to fund your program. I'm sure everybody who's heard any of this conversation can understand what is the magnanimity of the work that you are doing, how much of a help it is to the society. And also, I think we as Pakistanis, like you said, owe it to our community to be there for people who are less fortunate than us, people who are underprivileged and need our help. They need a helping hand. And I think we should be providing that for them. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Nusrat.
Thank you so much again. My last comment that I would like to make is,
Of course.
we call it, no, we won't let any sister behind. So no sister should be left behind. If we are living in this society, we can make things happen for them.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. That's the spirit everyone should follow. Thank
Mhm.
you again. Thank you for the great work that you are doing. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Same here.